Hansen.
Ready to go?
In Genesee County, Michigan, a man with a disturbing past has not learned his lesson and is at it again.
Hey, how you doing? I'm gonna have you take a seat right over there.
Hello everybody. I know I haven't done a video in a while, so thank you for waiting for me, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will, as you guys can see, be talking about a show from Chris Hansen. For those of you who don't know, the few of you who don't know of him, he is known for the TV series To Catch a Predator, which is a show that doesn't go after birds of prey, actual animals, but it goes after individuals who tend to want to do things that are not appropriate towards children. So I'll let you guys read between the lines, because of course on YouTube I do have to be mindful of the words that I use and the context that I give, etc. So I don't want to get myself banned or demonetized or at risk of demonetization later on. So I do want to be careful as to what I say. So in today's show we'll be talking about his new series that he has that same idea of going after adults that do things that are inappropriate or want to do things that are inappropriate towards children. It's called Takedown with Chris Hansen, and it's on the YouTube channel True Blue Streaming Network. So please guys, go and give them your support as well by watching their full episode on their own YouTube channel. Today we'll be talking about Tony's in Trouble episode. They also have a streaming service. Now, I'm not affiliated with that at all, so I'm not getting any money. So if you guys want to join that streaming service or don't want to, it is your decision. I believe it's $4.99 per month or $44.99 for the year. I'm not sure. When I looked into it, I'm not sure if that's in American dollars or Canadian. I have to assume it's American, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm also not 100% sure if it's available outside of the US. So if you are outside of the US and you can't, well, unfortunately, you're out of luck and you're going to have to hope that they have full episodes on their YouTube. I did see 2 or 3 full episodes, but on True Blue Streaming Network on YouTube, I think a lot of their videos are the partial runs that they have. So you might not be able to catch all the full episodes, but it's still interesting even to see the partial videos. So please guys, again, show them your support. Go watch the videos. It's also just interesting to see how they catch these individuals. So I won't go any further into this intro. Please follow along on my review of some of the clips from the full episode.
A ghost detective has been chatting with a man looking for sex with an underage girl. And just who this man is both surprising and sadly not surprising.
We believe this next alleged predator is a registered sex offender?
Yes.
And how do we know that?
Based on the information that we gathered from the conversation.
Got it. And what does he say?
Right out of the gate, first thing is, want to taste your niece.
And he's saying this to you thinking you're the aunt?
Yes.
Who's 15.
Yes. Told him how old she was, informed me that he was black, wanted to know if she was okay. You know, I said, she's 15, I don't want to share her photos all over.
So as you guys saw from the clip, this is an investigation into an individual. We know his first name is Tony. Now, obviously, I'm not going to dox him. I'm not going to give the full name or his address, etc. But obviously, for the purpose of this episode, you will eventually see his face. But please, guys, don't go personally after individuals in this episode, whether it's the perpetrator or any other individuals involved in the investigation. I believe that, look, it's the investigation is being taken care of. He will be punished appropriately. So please let the police handle it, okay? And I'm obviously showing you guys all of this as informational and education, and just to give you guys an idea of how sometimes our children unfortunately fall prey to mostly men, but sometimes women as well. Let's not be, unfortunately, women do victimize children sometimes too, unfortunately. I just want you guys to be informed that this kind of thing does happen and how potentially it happens. So, in the clip that we saw, Tony is known to the police. He has a criminal record. He has a past of doing inappropriate things to children. Now, we'll see later on in the episode that he claims it was a setup, that it was his girlfriend's fault, that she set him up, etc. I'm not 100% convinced about this story. A lot of individuals in jail right now claim to be innocent, yet we have all the proof in the world to show that they're guilty. But of course, there is some individuals that are genuinely innocent. So I'm not going to weigh in and say he's 100% guilty. But look, chances are he probably is guilty. But if I'm wrong about it, I'd rather admit that I'm wrong, because who wants there to be more individuals out there that are guilty of doing things inappropriately to children? I want less of these individuals on the streets out there in the world, whether they're in jail or on the streets. I want there to be less individuals preying on children. So if he's genuinely innocent and I'm wrong, I'd rather that than him actually being truly guilty, because that means he victimized at least one child, which is never a good thing, right? So they of course continue in the clip talking about how they found out. This episode is in conjunction with the GHOST team, the Genesee Human Oppression Strike Team, and this is done in Genesee, the city of Genesee, and it's ran by Sheriff Chris Swanson, who runs this team. Now, I'm not sure if they do all of their investigations in conjunction with True Blue, but at the very least, it's safe to say they do some of their investigations in conjunction with the streaming service, so that it is something that Chris Hansen can come out here and have these kinds of episodes and share with us in the public what is going on in the process of finding these types of individuals and hopefully putting them behind bars, right? So they of course do have access to people's criminal records, and if they don't directly have, because maybe it's outside of their jurisdiction, they can contact other police departments or other law enforcement agencies like the FBI or CIA to, hey, we have this person of interest. Is this somebody that is in your books? Is this somebody that you're also investigating or that you have information about, etc.? So we know that that's probably what they did. If they could not go into their own database and find out information about the individual, they probably went out and asked a few questions to their other sister agencies or other agencies that work in law enforcement in some capacity or another. And of course, a lot of people are going to come out here, well, this is entrapment. You'll see here in this episode, but also in the typical line for these kinds of shows, is that the people here, they don't contact the perpetrator, right? The perpetrator is usually the one that's doing the first step. They're approaching the potential victim first, right? They're out here saying, hey, how's it going? How are you? How old are you? Are you single? What's going on, etc., right? So it's never the alleged victim that's making the first step. Even within the conversation, you often see that it's the perpetrator, or the alleged perpetrator, I should say, that always initiates the conversations about certain adult topics towards the child. So it's never the child that's saying, hey, I want to talk about this, right? And it's usually the person playing the child, because as you guys can tell, they don't have actual children involved generally, not at least not in this one. I think there was one variation of the show that did have, at the very least, real photos of real children, but that was the only time that I saw that was actually happening. But for the most part, most of the shows that Chris Hansen has been involved, they have fake children, fake photos, or at the very least, it's photos of adults, but when they were children years back, right? So they try not to really get involved with actual children as much as possible, for obvious reason. And even when they did, obviously they're not sharing those photos or individual names, etc., with us, the public, and rightfully so, obviously. So just to basically get more into it, obviously, you have here an interesting storyline where it's an aunt claiming that has access to her 15-year-old niece and wants to make that niece available for certain activities with Tony, who's a man in his 40s. And we'll find out later on in the episode that he actually has a son who's in jail currently for gun-related charges. Now, they don't go into too much detail as to what happened with the son exactly and the relationship with the father, but you can tell that he's very much not happy about the fact that his son as well is in jail, and claims that his son too is innocent, or was, put in a worse situation than it should have been, etc. So unfortunately, Tony doesn't seem to be accountable for himself nor accountable for his son, unfortunately, and is not that kind of person that's going to make his son accountable for his action. There's always somebody else that's to blame, or is at least partially to blame for their circumstances, right? It's not really 100% their fault. So you can see that this is a man that is building basically generational trauma rather than trying to heal it or trying to prevent it for the next generation, unfortunately. And I suspect that this is not something that's new to people that are in these kinds of situations, that are going after children to victimize them, that they probably have generations and generations of trauma and things that they've been through themselves. Of course, as you guys know, many perpetrators were victims themselves at one point of the same trauma, and that's how they cope. That's how they learn that, for a lot of them, this is normal. It's not abnormal to do these kinds of things, right? In their minds, of course, guys. Obviously, you guys and I agree that no, we should not be doing adult things with children. That's not appropriate at all in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to show the next clip, and then we're going to continue talking about the conversation, guys.
1 mile away. 1 mile away. All right, let's get ready.
The decoy acts as a lookout while the ghost team and I wait for Tony's arrival.
Where's he right now?
And we don't have to wait very long.
He's circling the block right now.
Hi. Sorry, that door is a little sticky. We just moved in here.
No.
You thought I was joking? Why? So I seen you drive really slow and then you turned around right there.
I said I was right there, but then...
You had an iPhone? iPhones take you to that end of the subdivision.
Yeah, it took me right there.
Yeah, they're really weird. I'm gonna go throw my phone on the charger real fast because I'm at 15% and I don't want it to die. Just give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm gonna have you take a seat right over there. Well, you don't, trust me, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
Put your hands behind my back.
Yep.
Tony did not take my advice, and he tried to make a run for it,
Come on, man.
which only leads to him being put in cuffs. Can't say I didn't warn him.
So as you guys see, in the typical to Catch a Predator style of show. They have a decoy that acts as motivation for the guy to come into the apartment or room or hotel or house or wherever the location is. So to make it sort of more convincing to the perpetrator that there's an actual young girl or young boy in some cases as well that's actually there to meet them, to make it this whole situation a little bit more genuine. And of course, as usual, the girl, hi, how's it go, blah blah blah, makes small talk conversation, and of course then gives the guy a small little excuse as to why she has to step away. And of course you see Chris Hansen walking in and give his famous line, hey, take a seat, why don't you take a seat, right? Which of course a lot of people love seeing it, and it's been memed throughout the internet, and I'm sure you guys have seen the memes and the clips and all of that. I think there was even an episode of South Park that was sort of playing on this gag kind of thing. I've never seen South Park myself other than a few clips here and there, so I don't know the full story of the episode, but that's from what I've heard anyways. So of course, Tony goes through this as most perpetrators do. And of course, you do see him, and he's one of the few that you see him try to leave the house, right? But of course, he's stopped by the police, because that's the thing with takedown. That's a slightly different thing with this situation than previous investigations that Chris Hansen led. Is in this investigation, he's basically telling people, no, you cannot leave. It doesn't matter. You just can't leave. In other investigations, Chris Hansen never said to the perpetrator or the accused, oh no, you can't leave. He always gave them the option. In fact, in some of the investigation, he would encourage them to leave the house. I think there was one where they had this sort of doorway to the garage, and they would lead the perpetrator to go through that door, because that's where they would have the police, right, would be in the garage, and they would have the cop car in the garage ready, so that way if another perpetrator or accused came into the house, the police could discreetly continue to arrest the first person that was in the house while Chris Hansen was dealing with the second or maybe even third person coming in, etc. So, but in this case, of course, as you see, it's just one big room. The house is like one floor, so there's not that kind of situation where they can just send the guy out to go over there, go over here, etc., so that the police can deal with that person in a different part of the home or the part of the property or whatever, right? And we also find out that, of course, the girl is supposedly 15 years old and the niece of the woman that Tony originally communicated, and that he was willing to spend basically $50 whole to have an hour of time with her. The original amount that he was proposed to, was $100 but I just paid rent. I can't pay that amount. Can we negotiate, right? Which is like mind-boggling to me. Like, you're negotiating to spend time with a minor. It's to me that, like, it creeps me out every time I think about that, right? Like, it's already bad enough that you're spending or willing to spend $100 to do adult activities to a child, and then like, you're saying, no, I can't afford it, can we make it 50? Like, really? Come on. Like, it makes no sense to me in this world, right? But it is what it is, right? That's the reality of his life. And you find out later in the episode, like I said earlier, that he's blaming his previous charges that he spent 7 years in jail for doing inappropriate things to children. He blames it on his ex-girlfriend, right? He was apparently set up. Now, I don't fully believe that that's really what happened, because we're seeing that he's still willing to come and meet young girls. And based on what he says in later parts of the episode, he's come and met up since his release. He's met up other girls. Now, of course, at this part of the investigation, we don't know how many girls he's met up, if he's done anything to them. So obviously, since it's a new episode, I don't know how much information will be available online. But by all means, if anybody knows or maybe 5 months or a year or 2 years from now, if you guys want to come back and, oh, we have updates, here's what's going on with this guy, I'd be more than happy to hear about it. But yeah, it's crazy that, okay, you're claiming to be innocent, you're claiming that you were set up by your ex-girlfriend, yet you're here willing to put yourself in a situation where you potentially can be reaccused of the same thing, even though you're claiming, no, I'm doing this to help the girl, I'm doing this to make sure she's safe and to talk her out of this situation. Why not just call the police? If you're a good Samaritan, if you're the kind of person that's just doing this to help people, then why not call the police? Why not call the news? Why not call a whole group of people to come in? Because even if you want to say, oh, the media is corrupt, the police is corrupt, okay, no problem. God knows there's bad apples in every profession, right? But then why not get a group of your friends to help free this girl if you truly believe that she's maybe in danger or something, or maybe doing something that's inappropriate, right? There's like so many other different ways of dealing with this situation than just walking into this girl's home by yourself without telling anybody, hey, I think there's this young girl that's in danger, I'm going here to help her. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing about his story that makes any sense. And of course, this is a storyline that you see so often on this kind of show with Chris Hansen. Is so many of them. I'm just here to mentor the poor girl. I'm just here to, be a good Samaritan and help her out and make sure she's safe and try to talk her out, or say, hey, you're in a situation that's not appropriate. Can you stop? Where's your parents, etc., etc., right? And it's like, none of it makes sense. Like, everything I said, like, they could even contact the internet provider, even if the person doesn't want to get physically involved or get more involved, they could contact the internet provider and say, hey, I suspect that there's might be this young girl in danger. I'm communicating with her through that app, whatever, right? They can find out, they can go in and potentially call the local police or whatever and intervene, right? So it's like, again, none of what he's saying makes any sense. Like, even if he had the genuine best interest of this girl at heart and he genuinely wasn't intended on doing anything inappropriate with her, none of what he says about how he was dealing with the story or the situation made any sense, which basically leads me to believe that, yeah, he probably had ill intent with this girl. Now, in this episode, we don't find out if he actually paid that $50 or the $100 to the alleged aunt, because of course the aunt is not actually the aunt of the girl involved here. It is an undercover cop, and you'll see in the full episode that many of the cops that you're going to see in the episode, either their faces aren't shown at all or they're blurred out because they're still active duty members, right? They're still on the force, and they're probably doing more stings like this and more other stings, right? They're still out there doing their job. So of course Chris Hansen wants to make sure that not only can this show continue, but of course that the police officers involved in this investigation can continue to do their jobs as well and can continue to serve the community, right? Now, obviously, we don't see at this point, like I said earlier, the full consequences of the situation, right? We know that he's probably going to be brought up on charges. I'm not sure exactly which charges, because obviously some of the charges, it depends, of course, on what city or state you're in, but they all, of course, have something to do with doing adult activities to a minor, right? Which usually sometimes involves whether it's consent or not. There's going to be, sometimes laws concerning doing things over the internet, right? You're sharing adult pictures, you're having adult conversations on the internet. So some of the charges might be related to that as well, depending again on the laws in Genesee. I think Genesee is in Texas or Tennessee, I'm not sure. So some of it will depend on the local state laws and local city laws and all that, right? But in some cases, I think the last show that Chris Hansen did for the official To Catch a Predator series, there was that controversy where one of the individuals involved unfortunately unalived himself when he was caught in the sting. And he was a prosecutor, district attorney, I believe, or assistant district attorney. I can't remember which, but he was definitely a bigwig in, I think, Murphy, Texas was the investigation, I believe. And it caused such a controversy. I think the sister sued NBC. The people didn't follow up with charges with everybody that was involved in it, etc. Now, of course, Chris Hansen did speak up and say, hey, look, if we had gone through the lawsuit and let her bring up NBC and or Dateline under Chris Hansen under charges, he firmly believes that they would have won, because at the end of the day, like, the district attorney went there voluntarily, right? He wasn't forced or coerced or entrapped into this conversation with this minor. And a lot of these investigations, that's the big concern, is how are we able to prosecute these individuals? Are we doing this above board, right? Following the letter of the law, right? How is this not entrapment, right? And I did speak about it, this on other shows that I've done and other conversations, right? Where entrapment only is you're forcing people to do things that they would not normally do. So in a lot of these episodes, what you'll see is that the members of the team that's investigating these perpetrators, they never initiate the conversation, right? They don't go to the person and say, hey, would you like to talk about this, adult matter with a 13-year-old? No, they always wait for the other person to talk to them first, and they only react to what is being said to them, right? They never ask for the perpetrator to send photos. They don't send photos to the other person first, etc., right? So that's part of why it's not entrapment. And then, of course, that's also why Chris Hansen always has law enforcement involved nowadays right away from the get-go, so that they can legally and show, hey, look, here's the conversation. We didn't initiate it. We followed the letter of the law, etc., etc. We have documentation that the person approached us in this particular manner on this date and time, etc., etc., and that they're really able to track all of that 100% all the way. Because I think that was part of the issue as well, that potentially in Texas Murphy, that last episode of TCAP, which is the abbreviation for To Catch a Predator, right? One of the perpetrators, they didn't have his chat log or something. I think it might have been the district attorney. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100% sure. I might be wrong on that, right? So again, they always want to make sure that everything's above board, so that, again, these people get put in jail and that they really are serving the appropriate time for the crimes that they are being accused of. And of course, you have a lot of people that will claim their innocence from beginning to end, and most likely will still end up in jail, because other than the case in Texas Murphy, I think there's one or two other situations as well where some or all of the people didn't go to jail. I think the first 2 or 3 episodes or series or seasons, however you want to call it, of TCAP, they didn't have police involved at all. So unfortunately, the people, or most of them, were just were able to walk away from the situation, unfortunately, which is what encouraged, Chris Hansen to get police involved. They were also getting a lot of people calling in the show and say, hey, why are these guys able to just walk free? This is not normal. We don't want them back on the street, please. So of course they got police involved, and as things develop, because this is quote unquote reality TV, right? You're dealing with real people in real situations, right? And back in the day, this is early 2000s when TCAP started, right? You didn't really have reality TV. This was a relatively novel idea to have these kinds of shows, right? So TCAP was sort of the legendary, okay, this is our first step into the pool here. Let's test the waters. Let's see how this works. And of course, a lot of different mistakes were happening. And then you have this show, which basically is all those learning lessons that Chris Hansen and the various teams that he's had to go through, and to learn that, okay, we need to make sure that this happens, that happens, and go here, go there, do this, do that, right? We need to make sure to cross our T's, dot our I's, etc., make sure that everything is above board, that we file the paperwork, we have all the proof gathered and collected, and make sure that we have copies on all of that, right? So it's really interesting to see these kinds of shows, and I hope this guy does serve some jail time. That's the other thing that a lot of people criticize the show, is that some of the sentences doesn't seem to be appropriate, right? Some get 5, 6, 7, 8 years in jail. Some only get probation and maybe a few years on the adult activity, list and all that. And of course, like I said, some flat out just don't get accused at all for whole various reasons, etc. So it's going to be interesting to see what this guy serves as time, if anything, right? If he's able to even wiggle himself out of this, right? So who knows? It could happen, right? So this is a relatively new show. So obviously, unlike the previous shows that Chris Hansen did on this theme, at this point, a lot of what normally we would know by now, of course, is still in process of happening. As you guys know, the justice system in the US, it takes a few months, maybe even a few years, before the person is even seen by the judge to formally accuse him or her, because some predators are female, but it's mostly men that show up to these sting operations ran by Chris Hansen. I don't think there's ever been a female, actually. So it might take a while before we see the consequences of this investigation. I will try to find information when and if I can, and update you guys. But for now, this is where we are. We have this one more perpetrator that has gone to the house, try to find some activities with a person they really shouldn't be, and hopefully spend time in jail because of it. Let me know, guys, if you want to. If you want me to continue, there's 2 other full episodes available on True Blue. Let me know, guys, if you want me to react to those 2 episodes as well, and if you guys want me to have a little bit more clips, a little less clips. Now, of course, I can't replay the full episode for you guys. That, of course, would violate copyright laws, etc. So, of course, I do want to be respectful of that as well, and I do want to make sure to remind you guys that, of course, go ahead and go to the original video and watch it yourselves. I will have a link in the description for the original episode, so please give them a like, show them your support, and watch the full episode for yourselves. And of course, if you want to come back and comment your thoughts and ideas, or hey, we have this update on this situation, etc., by all means, please, guys, let me know. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and like I said, I hope that you guys let me know if you want me to react to more of this show. It seems interesting, definitely seems like the kind of thing that I would want to react to, sort of in the same vein of my true crime episodes that I have sometimes, of mysteries that have been solved or unsolved in some cases as well. So have a great day, guys, and try not to do any of this funny business, please. I don't want to see any of my friends and family doing this kinds of stuff, please, guys. All right.